My name is Marlene Taraskiewicz, and I am the mother of Susan Taraskiewicz, who was murdered 24 years ago on September 14, 1992. Susan worked for Northwest Airlines at Logan Airport. She was a supervisor on the ramp for the baggage. Susan was found murdered in the trunk of her car in Revere on Route 1A. And at the time, there was a credit card scam going on. They put pictures of her all over. They do a coffin on her locker. Anything that they thought they could do to get rid of Susan. Susan wasn't going away. And I am so grateful that she fought. When Susan left to go to work, she told me that she had a lot of things to do, but her shift started at 11. The next day when we didn't hear from Susan, I thought, well, she'd gone right to church. My husband and I went out, may he rest in peace, and we did our thing. When we come home, we saw clothes, and we thought, on the floor, thought Susan's gone to work. The next morning at 8:30, as I was getting ready to go to work at my job, I was surprised not to see Susan. I always saw her as I left when she was coming in. All of a sudden, my daughter calls me at work and tells me that an employee from Northwest called and asked to speak to Susan. My daughter Deborah told this employee that Susan wasn't home, but she expected her because her and Susan were going for a fitting of Debbie's wedding gown. I am not going away. But what I want to say to everyone is, please, I've been asking you for 24 years. My Susan was a hard worker. She worked hard at Northwest. She treated everyone equally. She was a good person. She would help you whenever she could. And I know today, if Susan was here and got to enjoy her nieces and her nephew, they would just love her truly. When I tell them stories since they were little about Susan, we would laugh. I have so many things to this day still in my home. When I talk about pencils and papers and books, Nana, was this what Susan had? Yeah. Did this come from Susan? Yeah. Susan would have done anything for them. And I tell them she would have loved you more than anything in the world because she did love people. And she felt that people should be fair. And she tried very hard at Christmas time, Halloween. She lived downstairs. We had a little apartment that belonged to my father-in-law. And she would set that up at Christmas time and Halloween and have all the kids come in. She would make them costumes. She would give them treats. They just couldn't wait for the things that Susan would do. I've heard many people at the airline tell me what a wonderful girl she was and how she would go out of the way for them. We have a reward out for $250,000 for any information that you could give us regarding Susan's story. No matter how little you have to tell us, how many of you have to tell us something, that reward is still out there. So again, do the right thing. If that was Susan being asked to do this, she would be the first person to try to help solve a murder. She would be there for anyone. So please, again, pick up that phone. Call that hotline number. No matter how big or small, as I've been saying it for the last 24 years, tell what you know, anything you saw, no matter when it was, how important you think it was. I, as Susan's mother, need this piece. And this closure. My family needs this. No one has the right to take anyone's life. No one. So, again, after 24 years, it is never, ever too late to do the right thing and to bring justice for us. Please, again, pick up that phone. Call that hotline number. Tell what you know. Even after 24 years, I'm sure you can remember something that will help us to bring Susan's death to a closure and give us the peace that we deserve and she deserves.